I've been thinking about this for a while now. Why does it seem like Apple is barely adding anything to the new iPhones year by year? Ever since the iPhone X days, yeah, remember those days? Anyway, ever since then we've been basically given a reskinned and slightly upgraded version with what? Just a new number? The most notable example is the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 14. They're identical twins if you ask me. What's the difference? A satellite feature I won't ever use? Slight camera improvements? It's like if I'm a photographer taking a photo of my coffee every morning, not necessary. But to be frank at the same time, iPhone cameras get used up like a DSLR, so I'll give that a pass. But go to the pros for the fancy schmancy features. But what about those small upgrades they give us on the other phones? We will answer that in episode 1 of Why Are You So Blunt? A new series that involves me saying what others are not saying. And this is a very suitable topic to kick off this series. We're gonna get into why I think Apple does small upgrades that try to win us over from the phone they did the same thing to last year. And we're gonna discuss how this affects us new generation users. Let's jump into it. To begin with, we dive into why I think Apple gives out small upgrades. And here's what I've logically thought of. Basically, Apple is more worried about the people who use the old iPhones. Just look at the spec sheet on the iPhone 11 versus the 16, and if we look at it like that, Apple is right, it is a huge upgrade for you at least. This is what Apple probably thinks. If we can get the old generation users to move on up to this year's iPhones, we can milk out every dollar from them completely. I mean, sure, don't get me wrong, they do something for the newer generation users. They do add some stuff like the action button, Apple Intelligence, and the camera button. Hell, they even have a thing where you can trade in your device for the latest generation phones, new and old, kind of. But where I'm coming from is this. When you stick to your crusty and dusty iPhone 11 you bought when it was fresh on the market, over time, Apple realizes, we can't make enough money from this person. And what they do is they specifically market you advertisements that are along the lines of better battery life compared to the iPhone 12 or something like that. And this goes to show Apple is a pro of marketing. Everything they do is calculated. Now what about us new users? This is how this affects the new generation users. We would see everything they release as a minor upgrade and how Apple barely changes anything but the number. People often say that the older phones from the year before are a better deal than the new phones. I was one of those people too, but I realized something that made me look at Apple more differently. See, what they're doing is playing the long game here. They will call the newest iPhones the best phones to date, the same thing that's been said for years. That's because one day, you're gonna believe them after seeing your old iPhone barely running properly. And bam, next thing you know, you have spent all of your bill money for that phone they were promoting. So to the old generation users, they agree with Apple's claims and say that the newest ones are the best to date, while we are the ones who see the redone version of the previous year's phones. So what can I say about this topic? It's a mixed bag, it all depends on the consumer and what they use. But one thing is for certain, no matter how much we rip on Apple, we secretly know that they're geniuses. And that is pretty badass of Apple. This marks the end of episode 1 of Why Are You So Blunt? If you like this video, give it a like, comment down your opinions, and subscribe before Apple slams you with a killer advertisement. TBH signing off.